Hello everyone, this is Fantasy-esque and welcome back to the Vampire Amazon Challenge in The Sims 4. We are following the reign of Queen Darling Cloudy Snarl, who has recently seen the death of her daughter-in-law, Lady Zuleika Darkpounce. The Divine Judgment has shattered the spirit of the vampires, who only just a few days ago were celebrating her wedding. Prince Zorro is distraught after the death of his wife, and now Crown Princess Nimue is all that stands of the daughters born to Queen Darling's court. We are picking up at 1 a.m. on Monday. Nimue is sword fighting with her mother Queen Darling down in, I want to say the catacombs, but no, in the crypts. I cannot believe, guys, that Nimue is the final girl we have left out of the 5 that were born. Everyone else has either gotten murdered or had divine judgment cast on them. They've been picked off one by one. Now the funny thing is, when I started this series and when I made the new rule set for Vampire Amazon 2.0, I don't know why, I kind of thought that the only deaths we would have would be from judgments, and we haven't had a single judgment. Obviously I did not take into account the death by sunlight, mainly because of the, I think, sword fighting mod that I have. The last time I played with the sword fighting mod, or the first time I should say, was with my Werewolf Amazon series, which wasn't actually an Amazon series, but it started off that way, and then it became just werewolf stories. The werewolves obviously don't have a problem with going out into the sunlight, but my vampires do. However, I will say that I am not disappointed with how the mod is impacting the vampires, because I kind of feel like the very original Vampire Amazon series that I had was not deadly enough. And one thing that always grated at me was not having the randomness of the deaths. Like, I kind of felt a big burden all the time having to decide like who got to live and who got to die. So it takes like a huge weight off my shoulders when there is a high possibility of death, but it's happening randomly as we play. And I basically have no input in that, because sometimes my favorite characters get torn away from me, and other times it's characters that I am not too fond of, but then it doesn't make me feel guilty because I didn't necessarily decide that outcome for them. So it's very, very intriguing the way things are panning out. Now, something that I wanted to point out with Nimue, I do think she would be very, very disheartened by all of this. The fact that she was the one child who wanted to stay away from everything, and she has ended up surviving everything, it's very wild. Obviously, she has luck on her side. None of the feline deities feel the need to take her out, but also she apparently is strong enough to survive everything that's been happening. Time will tell whether or not she makes it to the throne. I still cannot accept that she will survive. I think at this point I have been so beaten down by all of the deaths that have happened that I'm still doubtful that Nimue will actually survive till the very end of the generation, but we will see. Now, I feel like Nimue, following the death of Zuleika, would feel as though there is a part of herself that she needs to suppress, because she has recently, guys, started seeing Yorick differently. And I realized this after I went to his profile and found out that she now has a crush on him. Now, Yorick, apparently this is not something that's happening on his end. I still feel like Yorick is trying to get over Nydia and adjust to this relationship with Nimue. But Nimue, she has, I think after Zuleika's wedding, started seeing Yorick as her future husband, like in the image of her future husband. So she's starting to like him more and more. And he might be the one motivation that she has towards becoming queen. But I do feel like with the recent death and the brother she hates becoming a widower, she kind of has to control his emotions and hide them, because she might feel as though showing that she is starting to like Yorick might be inappropriate at this time. I just wanted to point that out for Nimue. But we are going to be doing the whims for the other ladies and see what's going on in their minds. So Vladislav, I am going to wake her up. Vladislav, she wants to be mean to someone, so she's finally showing her true colors. Up until this point, she has been very removed from everyone else. But let's see who she has the lowest relationship with, and we will count Zorro because I kind of figured it would be nice to have Zorro with us in this episode in the household because it is the mourning period and he is mourning his wife Zuleika, and I didn't want to kind of just brush him to the side. So let's see who she has the lowest relationship with. She has a 24 with Caleb, a 30 with Lilith, a 6 with Crown Princess Nimue, a 6 with Lady Akira, a 40 with Zorro, and a 17 with Queen Darling. That is interesting that Vladislav is actually friends with Prince Zorro. Now, she has the same amount of relationship with Akira and Nimue, and it's the lowest, but she has good compatibility with Akira, which means that Vladislav is going to be mean to Crown Princess Nimue. Now, some of you lovelies have been pointing out the fact that Queen Darling isn't necessarily being a good guide or a responsible sort of mentor to Nimue in helping her adjust to the role of Crown Princess and teaching her the things that she's going to need to become queen and an effective one. She's letting her daughter just nap these years away, which is not kind of the right thing to do, especially because Nimue didn't want this responsibility. She already has such a big weight on her shoulders. If you're not helping her overcome the problems that she has, you are going to exaggerate the issues, right? Now, I think Vladislav is noticing this. Vladislav is very opinionated, and thus far she has been sticking to herself. But she kind of feels the need to, I think, put Nimue in her place and kind of intimidate Nimue a little bit. Tell Nimue that she, will insult Fang size. Yeah, she's basically gonna tell Nimue that for a crown princess, she's not much of a vampire. So I don't know how Nimue's going to take this. Now Yorick is over here in the background. Okay, Yorick's in the background, but nobody else is here. So we'll replace this music box. Okay, so Vladislav, I will leave her to that. I don't know how Nimue's going to take that considering she is sad. Lady Caleb wants to cook a meal. I think Lady Caleb, guys, wants to cook a meal in memory of all the children that have been lost, since this is something that she's been doing from the very beginning. I think that's really what she wants to do. I'm gonna get it to make some cheese garlic bread. And I actually just had some garlic bread for dinner, but this is just her way of honoring all the children that have been lost to time. I do like the idea that because it is so difficult for the children to survive, that every queen and every court, it's kind of like a huge challenge for them to be raising these kids. And it's not guaranteed that all the children that are born are going to survive to immortality or survive to the next generation even. And whoever does make it, it ends up being like a really, really big deal for the entire court. They managed to get even one child to the next generation. I kind of like that. But look at that. This all looks so good. That looks so nice. I mean, I just had garlic bread, but I would go for that. Okay, so Caleb's done with this. Lilith wants to play the violin, and I think this is most definitely in the memory of Zuleika, because the last place that the violin was played was in the wedding hall. I think in the last episode, Zuleika was actually listening to it be played by Vladislav, but I definitely think that Lilith would want to play this. I'm actually gonna... Do I want her back in the... I don't think I want her back in the wedding hall. I think I'm gonna move this to inventory, but she is gonna play this violin. Let's see. Oh, Love's Lament. Let's play Love's Lament. Yeah, she's gonna play this in memory of the wedding that Zuleika and Zoro had not too long ago. Aww, I don't know where Zoro is, but I hope he's being comforted. There we go, there we go. So she's playing that. Where is Zoro? Zoro is on the rocking chair. Aww. You know what? I kind of like that Zoro is maybe returning to his mother's chamber because this is a place he associates with safety. It's, in a way, a place of his childhood. You know, he first came here when he aged up into a little boy with his twin sister Zara, and I think he's trying to cling to the past as much as he can. And Akira wants to listen to Summer Strut music. I'm gonna send her up to do that. Now, Summer Strut music is, I think, her favorite and something that she listens to a lot, and she has been recently as well. Now, we know that Akira discovered her daughter's body first, so she would kind of know that it was divine judgment that was cast on her daughter. Recently, we've been saying that in her happiness of her daughter becoming an immortal and then, you know, getting married, Akira has not necessarily been acknowledging or paying attention to the fact that her daughter had this evil side, had this dark side. And I think this death by divine judgment would be forcing her almost to acknowledge that she didn't entirely know her daughter, and I think that would be the most hurtful thing of all. And listening to this music would be a way for her to go back to when her daughter was a teenager, when her daughter was younger, because they used to spend quite a bit of time dancing together to Summer Strut music. So that's what's happening with Akira. And then with Queen Darling, she wants to be mischievous with someone. So let's go ahead and see who she has the closest relationship with. She has a 55 with Akira, a 61 with Caleb, a 46 with Lilith, a minus 14 with Zoro, a 19 with Vladislav, and a 55 with Nimue. Wait, 55, and then 61. Okay, so Lady Caleb, she is going to be mischievous with Lady Caleb. So she is going to go into Caleb's room. She's going to wake her up, and she is going to be a little bit mischievous. I think Queen Darling is trying to cling to whatever happiness she can find. But also, I feel like this is her way of comforting herself, that her daughter survived every other child's death, therefore her daughter is destined to survive. I think the queen is comforting herself by thinking about this, so she kind of wants to joke a little bit about this situation. Let's go ahead and instill with false confidence. That's right. I think that works quite well. She's gonna try and, I think, tell Caleb, but also tell herself in a joking manner that Nimue was born to survive. She's destined to survive. In fact, I don't know if I've mentioned this yet. I keep talking about it with you guys in the comments, but I forget to say it in the actual episodes. When Nimue was born, we actually said that the vampires viewed her as an omen of some sort, but whether she was a good omen or a bad omen, nobody really knew, and we said time would tell. But if you guys remember, during that first castle fire we had, where 3 of our Sims died, Lily, Billy, and Miko, they all died together, the queen was supposed to die as well. But she didn't because she was pregnant with Nimue at the time, and Nimue essentially saved her mother's life. And then she was born. When she was born, because her birth had happened under such strenuous and strange circumstances, everyone thought that she was destined for something great. But nobody really knew whether Nimue was destined to kind of make the vampires thrive, or she was destined to destroy the vampires or destroy her bloodline's legacy. The fact that she's the last one to survive at this point, and honey, you need to go take a shower, like ASAP. Let's go take a shower. Oh, sorry, no, wrong. Nimue, go take a flippin' shower, Nimue. You stink. You stink so bad. But the fact that she's the lost... Oh, wait. Oh, I'm so sorry, Nimue. No. You stink too. You and... Actually, I think it's just you. I think it's just you. That's awkward. For a second, I thought it was Yorick, but no. She was walking in front of him, so he got her, like, stink cloud. No, honey. No. But, the fact that she has survived and is the last one standing out of all the girls, it definitely feels like she is an omen for sure. And her destiny is great for sure. And I was also thinking about this, guys. Obviously, as we are going through each episode and each stage of the story in this series, we are getting shocked by all the deaths and everything that's happening and the way the story is panning out, because it's our first time seeing this. But I know a lot of you guys who watch this particular series or any sort of Vampire Amazon content, because I'm like this as well, we like to go back and rewatch the series, right? And I was thinking about the fact that this whole story, all of the deaths that have been happening, would be so interesting for anyone who watches this series again, knowing who is going to die when, and knowing what the end of the story or the end of the generation is, because even I don't know right now what the end looks like, what the last episode looks like. But for people watching back, it's going to be so fascinating, because they might notice more things as they kind of go along the story that obviously we didn't at the time, like the fact that Nimue's birth was an omen, and now she's the last one standing. We don't know if she's going to make it to becoming queen. But either way, it's kind of funny as well, because either way, Nimue is going to essentially fulfill that omen that she was. Because if she becomes queen, then she had the great destiny to survive the death of all her sisters and all the other females and become the next monarch, even though she is the youngest. And typically, I think like Ronald the Simmer said, you don't expect the youngest to inherit the crown. It's usually the oldest. And she wasn't the second princess, she was the third, right? She survived the death of 2 sisters. That's one thing. If she dies though, she is still an omen. It might be a bad one, but she's still fulfilling that destiny, because with her death is wiped out the Cloudy Snarl bloodline or the dynasty. She's gonna destroy her dynasty if she dies. Like, if Zara died, that doesn't necessarily affect the dynasty because she had 2 younger sisters. Nimue died, that didn't affect the dynasty because she had a younger sister. Nimue doesn't have any younger sisters. She's the last of her line. So her death is going to be so meaningful and have so much impact. And if she becomes queen, again, she's essentially reviving, this court and continuing this court. She's pulling her bloodline through and her dynasty through to another queen's reign. So there's a lot going on. The stakes are definitely high, but I find it so fascinating. Guys, I wanted to take a moment to look at Zorro's relationships, because this boy has me so sad right now. He was kicked out of the club, and I was a little bit confused about why that was the case, given that Lord Yorick is kind of the leader of the club at this point. This happened shortly after he was betrothed to Zara, and he has maintained that position. We did get the queen to bring him back into, the court children. But I pulled up the panel over here, and Zorro... Oh, geez, that scared me, but the camera pan scared me, but I just right-clicked accidentally. Zorro has such a bad relationship with everyone that is his age. Everyone. He despises Yorick, and it's, they despise each other. He and Nimue also despise each other. He has a relationship in the red with his mother. I just feel terrible for this boy. He is not only been through the death of his twin, has been through the death of his favorite sister Nydia, has now been through the death of his wife, who he actually did have feelings for and has had for a while. Well, he was good friends with her before they got betrothed, and then things went downhill from there, because that's not what she expected, and he was really trying in their married life to hopefully make things better between them, and I think he was hoping to become a better person himself for her. That did not pan out, and I feel like it's been heartbreak over heartbreak over heartbreak, and I was wondering why he and Yorick might not get along. Now, from Yorick's perspective, on the note of Yorick maybe feeling like he's a little bit cursed because everyone he's betrothed to keeps dying, I wonder if now he thinks Zorro is cursed because Zorro's wife died, and maybe Yorick wants to keep a distance from Zorro. He doesn't want to be anywhere near Zorro in case this rubs off on him. Whatever this curse is, Yorick, like this superstition, right? Yorick doesn't want it to rub off on him, and then him have to lose Nimue as well, his third match. I think that's what's going on from Yorick's perspective. With Zorro, Yorick reacting that way might make him feel like Yorick is trying to compete between their losses, when you can't really quantify something like that. A loss is a loss and is deeply felt regardless of how many times you have been through it, and Yorick acting this way, trying to preserve his current match with Nimue, might feel a little bit insensitive to Zorro right now. And then we know why Nimue doesn't really like Zorro, get along with him. It's because she personally feels like the suffering that Zorro was going through after Nydia's death wasn't as much as her suffering in taking up the mantle of Crown Princess. So from that perspective, it's definitely as though everyone is trying to compete with Zorro's sorrow in a way, and his grief, and that is very, very saddening to see. This poor boy has had so much happen to him, but nobody around him seems to understand that. Oh my goodness. But guys, this does mean that Zorro is now a widower, and there is no one for him to be matched up with. There's no one for him to have a match with. But this does mean that Zorro is now going to be a commodity for his sister Nimue, should she require a match in the future. So she will essentially have the boys born under her reign to choose from, for a match for any female, but she'll also have this brother of hers, depending on how she wants to pull the strings. But it's also good to know that, yes, she has this brother that she hates. She could match up with someone, but she hates. But at the same time, it's like the only way she'd be able to tie anyone to her family, unless she has sons of her own. So many things to think about, and Zorro, you need to go and take a shower, because I feel bad enough for you as it is. I do not want to now have everyone making fun of you because you don't look after yourself. Like, boy, come on, let's be clean at least. Let's take a shower and be clean. I can't help with your state of mind, but I can help with your cleanliness. Okay guys, with that said and done, I am going to leave off here, and he's going to, clean up. I was gonna say eat. I was about to be very touched at that moment, but no, he's going to clean up. But I'm gonna leave off here. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye.